Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and we're here today to talk about Battlefield. Not just about the Hardline beta, but also about the future of Battlefield 4. I just wanted to bundle this together in one big discussion, so let's go ahead and start off by sort of my final words on the Battlefield Hardline beta. Sadly, I've accidentally deleted all of my Hardline footage, so you're seeing Battlefield 4 footage here, but, you know, we'll still be able to discuss the game, obviously. So, at the end of the day, final thoughts, Hardline, right? I won't be picking it up. It was a consensus made by myself as well as my friends that I play Battlefield on Xbox One with, and of course I'm going to tell you guys why. Now, I thought Hotwire was a really great mode. It was a lot of fun. I don't think it could hold up to the test of time. To me, I just felt like it was going to get, you know, sort of blah after a while. I mean, it was kind of like, as much as I loved it, there were a lot of things that pissed me off about it. The biggest one being the fact that you had to deal with, you know, Battlefield's driving mechanics, which are atrocious, and they were even worse when you hop onto things like dirt bikes and ATVs and the cross rockets and then the, you know, the muscle cars and the cop cars and the vans. They're just terrible. I mean, it's so rough and just janky, and everything just feels ugh. I mean, people are like crashing into each other like the cars are made out of jelly donuts. It just feels awful. I mean, it drove me absolutely crazy that there was no proper driving mechanics put into the game for that. And I feel like that's just, you know, that was just weak. I mean, there are so many studios that EA owns that could have, like, you know, had mechanics and elements that games that run in Frostbite, like freaking Need for Speed, that could, you know, have taken the physics and been modified. I mean, originally, that's how Battlefield got its whole character animation system and movement system, was from FIFA. So, you know, why not, you know, borrow from the other studios that you have and make a better driving system? I just feel like it could have been done, and it wasn't, and it drives me insane. But after playing the beta for the entire weekend, as much as I enjoyed Hotwire, it started to get old. I mean, there's just, maybe new maps would spice it up, but I don't think that's enough, you know? And at the same time, you had Heist, which I also found to be a bit of fun, but I just couldn't help but feel at the end of the day that the game was just very half-heartedly going to be delivered. You know, what Visceral was trying to create was this cops and robbers, you know, sort of Battlefield spin-off. You know, they tried to stay true to that in several ways. Different weapons for each of the different factions. You know, the idea that maybe the cops don't have the same weaponry as the you know, the thieves and things like that. And, you know, people don't carry around rocket launchers because the SWAT team doesn't normally carry around a rocket launcher, and bad guys don't normally have MG, you know, 34 light machine guns and G36 light machine guns. So I kind of get where they were going with that, but it just never came together for me. And I don't think that any additional game modes or additional maps or additional playtime with Hardline could change my mind on that. It just all feels very half-heartedly implemented, and the gadgets are where it was the worst. Things like the grappling hook and the zip line, just no one was using them, and there's no real incentive to use something like the grappling hook. I mean, on some of the maps in the beta, you know, the Dust Bowl map, there was a grappling hook on a map where the tallest buildings could simply be walked up. Why would I ever want to take my time to deploy a grappling hook on a 6-foot tall building? No sense to me whatsoever. It was just thrown in because it seems like a cool thing. You see it in action movies all the time, but it was in no way given to the player to be used in any sort of an epic or interesting manner. It was just there, and the same thing went for the zipline. Maybe more people would start using them after the full game came out and started playing it more consistently, but I just see no benefit to the zipline. The game just doesn't play out, you know, tactically enough, and it's not really that hardcore experience to require something like the zipline being a genuinely useful and effective tool. It's just there, and it's kind of cool, and that's really how I felt about everything in Hardline. It's just there, and it's kind of cool, but at the end of the day, it's really nothing special, and I personally don't see a reason to hop on to a new Battlefield experience that is actually, in my opinion, you know, less complete than Battlefield 4. Why not just continue to play Battlefield 4? And that was really the ultimate decision that myself and my group of friends made was, hey, we never picked up Battlefield Premium. We definitely did not want to spend $100 on day one. Why don't we grab it the next time it's on sale instead of picking up Hardline? We'll get a bunch of new maps. We'll get a bunch of weapons that were locked off to us very, you know, stupidly, you know, because they need to make money. And, you know, we'll be able to expand our Battlefield 4 experience a little bit and play the new maps. It was the biggest thing. I could care less about the weapons, to be honest. I really could care less. But, you know, more maps would be nice. And on top of that, DICE has said, and EA has said, that they are planning to continue to support Battlefield 4, which I think would be foolish. But at the same time, I think that is sort of them admitting that Hardline is nothing more than a small sort of spin-off. You know, who knows when we'll see Battlefield 5? Hardline isn't Battlefield 5. It's a spin-off. It was supposed to be very heavily cops and robbers themed, and I think that they could not commit to that fully. And again, there are too many elements in that game to me that are just clinging on to what was Battlefield 4 while trying to be something different. And I think putting Conquest in that really takes me off more than it probably should have, but I just don't understand why you would put in a game mode that is basically just about war in a game that is supposedly all about cops and robbers. You need more modes that are unique, like Hotwire and Heist, and, you know, to me that just was... It was just, you know, sort of this confirmation that they couldn't really come up with anything else as a core game mode, and that they're still just holding on. Why do I want to play, you know, the next evolution of Battlefield, or, you know, the spin-off is Battlefield, with just the same game modes that I can play in Battlefield 4. Except now I'm more limited in the ways that I can have tactical engagements. I have less weaponry, and I have less types of weapons that I can carry, and I know it didn't click for me at the end of the day. And so that's really my personal decision. I think that more people out there, you know, may seem to find Hardline to be quite a bit of fun, and maybe that experience clicks more for them than what's offered in Battlefield 4. You know, maybe they find that to be more enjoyable. But I just think at the end of the day, Battlefield 4 is still the best offering. It's also a game that's been in development and has seen a lot of changes and fixes to a lot of the issues that may or may not exist in Hardline when it launches. You know, Hardline's beta was pretty solid in terms of functionality. Wasn't a lot of bugs, there wasn't a lot of, you know, netcode issues, the same amount that you're used to seeing in a Battlefield game. And it's always worse on Xbox One. It was, you know, it was more noticeable on the console than it was when I played it on PC, for whatever reason that may be. But, you know, there may be a group of people who enjoy that, but for me, I'll just stick with Battlefield 4. You know, I'll stick with Battlefield 4 until, you know, Battlefield 5 comes out, or whatever game seems to grab my attention. I just don't see the point in dropping the cash on Hardline. And very much I agree with people who say, who want to say that it could have been a mod, because it would have been a mod. And I think that it's silly for them to release it as a full game. I think that they would have been better off ditching the single player, the wasted money and development time and human resources, and all the voice acting and all the music and the advertising on the single player that, to be honest, more than half the crowd could care less about, and focus on making a complete multiplayer experience that would have been launched as an expansion, similar to what they did with Battlefield Vietnam for Bad Company 2. I mean, it worked then, so you would have thought they would have looked at their past efforts and said, that was a good idea, let's do that again. But, you know, instead they figured, hey, we're all like Activision Pro now, we got another developer, man, just 2 developers, next year we'll have 3. Let's just, you know, throw them on an entirely different project. And I think that was silly. I think that was damn silly. You know, will it give the team behind the next Battlefield or behind Battlefront more time to work on those games? I'm sure, and hopefully that ends up being a good thing. But I think it was just silly to launch Hardline, to create Hardline in the way that they chose to do so, because, I mean, sorry, there hasn't been a good campaign in Battlefield since Bad Company 2. 3 was useless. 4 was useless. Maybe some people eked some enjoyment out of it, but when I play games these days, I've been playing games for so long, I want something that is special. I want something that clicks as this is special, not, it's just another shooting gallery with small bits of character and a boatload of pre-rendered, animated, fancy pants Hollywood cutscenes. And I can imagine that that is what the Hardline campaign will be chock full of, with maybe a few good combat scenarios here and there. Maybe I'll be wrong, maybe it'll be great, but nothing in the beta has drawn my attention enough for me to make that purchase on Hardline. So I will not be picking it up, I won't be playing it on the channel, and, you know, that's my final opinion. Maybe you'll see it differently. Feel free to share your opinion with me in the comment section below, but I'd much rather continue to play 4, you know, play a game that's established, that I'm already having a bit of fun in, spend that $20 when I catch premium on sale, grab those maps, and, you know, of course, like I was just talking about earlier, you know, DICE and EA are planning on to continue to support Battlefield 4. I think it would be silly not to, because as I said before as well, they're two different experiences. Even if there are people who latch into Hardline, it's still not Battlefield 4. I mean, it's not military. It's not in the same class in terms of the smaller elements of their gameplay. They're two different experiences in those respects. So to continue to support 4 just makes sense, especially when there is no Battlefield in the foreseeable future, at least not as of yet. You know, maybe they're working on it, but we don't know about it, so we need to have the impression that they're going to continue to support the game that is here until we hear about something new. And I think maybe they've learned the lesson announcing 4 and releasing 4 so soon after 3. As let's be honest, as great as 4 is, it's very much just more of 3. There's not a lot of big mechanical changes here. What they are doing, though, is they're looking at some free community content. The one thing that they've really talked about is this community map. The idea that the community will be able to help them make this map. They'll be able to test it in the community testing environment, which is only available on PC and to members of Battlefield Premium, which I think is absolute crap, but hey, it is what it is. Hopefully this map is, though, going to be released to the community as a whole. I mean, however, it's only one map. I'm kind of disappointed, you know. I get that you need DLC, and you need DLC to make money. I just feel that the way EA looks at DLC and the way that a lot of developers look at DLC is it's uneducated. You'd think they would look at some successful free-to-play titles like Path of Exile and, you know, League of Legends and Dota and recognize that players like cosmetics. And you could sell a lot of cool cosmetics for Battlefield. And you could still, you know, maintain what is supposed to be the Battlefield vibe. You know, in Battlefield 4, for example, you don't have to sell pink camo guns, which I wouldn't care if you did. To be honest, that doesn't even faze me. But there's a lot you could do with the camos. There's a lot you could do with those cosmetic items instead of just trying to slam map packs and weapons and all this other BS DLC through these season passes on us. I can guarantee you that players would spend even more money. You can only buy Battlefield Premium once, but you can buy about 60 or 50 different flavors of this camo for this gun and for this character's, you know, clothing if they did it right. You know, missed opportunity there to make an absolute just ton of cash. And I find it ridiculous that they can't seem to see that, you know. I mean, it's simple in my head, and I think it would probably translate this way. Give us free maps, give us free weapons, and then give us the option to purchase a boatload of cosmetic items. Instant cash. I mean, honestly, you're gonna make money off that. But the fact is that they still are, they're still, you know, gung-ho on the whole premium thing. It's nice to see it on sale very often. I mean, down to $20. Considering each of the map packs on their own run about $14.99 to be able to get premium and then just get all of that content for 20 bucks. You know, I guess that's the best deal you're gonna get. And again, I'm not against DLC. I think that certain developers go about it the wrong way, and I think that what DICE and EA are doing with 4, pretty prime example of that. I just think that whole thing could have been executed better, and you are very much splitting the community when you put a paywall on, you know, content that is maps and weapons. I really could care less about the weapons, to be honest, but the maps is the big thing for me. One of the things that Bungie did with Halo 3 back in the day was they would launch a map pack. It would come out, it would be however much, for about 5 or 6 months, at which point they would then make that map pack free. Now, I know there's those people who sit there and say, well, if I paid for it, that's BS, you know, now it's free. And I say to you, look at it this way. You're a diehard fan of the game, you play it all the time, you're more than willingly going to pay $7 for 4 or 5 maps or 3 maps to play them right now because it's part of your immediate experience. However, there's that person who hasn't touched the game in 6 or 7 months, comes back to it and realizes, there's all these maps out for it now. I don't want to spend money on this, you know, I'm just picking this up for the first time. I don't even know if I want to get back into it. But it turns out those maps are free. They then stay around and it helps the community stay alive, and I think that again is a very important aspect that many developers are forgetting, how important it is to keep your community alive and breathing. And I think that a lot of developers and games in the PC community that allowed modding in the past understand that better than most, which is why it's shocking that EA and DICE, you know, just don't seem to remember a little thing called Battlefield 2 and all of the glorious mods that it has received. So, what have we learned today? I won't be picking up Hardline. I don't recommend that you pick up Hardline unless you really enjoyed what you saw in the beta. I really do not recommend it to anyone. Just play 4 if you want more Battlefield. Save yourself the cash and pick up something a little bit more special. Maybe The Witcher 3 will be like the greatest RPG of all time. There's your $60. Buy that instead. Do yourself a favor. At the same time, EA is terrible at learning from their past mistakes, and that about does it. I plan on playing a bit more Battlefield 4. I've been getting back into it, trying to have some fun with it. Been playing with a larger group. We got 4 guys in a squad now. It usually makes things a little bit better, rather than playing with 2 people or even 3 people. When you have that full 4-man squad, everybody running something different, you can go on your own little ventures and have a little bit of fun. Is it still like my game of the year? No, most definitely not. But I'm having a lot more fun with it than I have had in a very, very long time. Sort of metagaming, I guess you could say, with a group of friends. But leave any final thoughts you guys have about Battlefield Hardline, about the beta, about your thoughts regarding, you know, the future of Hardline when it releases, and also the future of 4. You know, what do you think about what they're doing, community testing map, and all that humdrum? Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one.